Hey folks, Mark with MD Custom Fly Rods here, and today we are going to go ahead and start on painting the rod. Okay, I've got a paint mixed, I have it off to the side, and I'm going to start. Make sure you're gloved up, as always, and start by wiping the blank on down. I'm going to use acetone. I'm going to make sure this is clean. This point going forward, we want to make sure that we do not touch the blank until after everything is done. With our hands, set the paint off to the side. We are going to be using an acrylic based, and then sorry about that. Move this up forward, and ooh, that's ugly. I'm gonna wipe this down with the tape as well. We will seal it with U-40. That is the best UV sealant and get everything down that we want. My main thing on doing this video on when you do gonna be painting a blank, and my experience on this has been make sure one there are many good and there are other sealers out there. I've heard of people using automotive sealant, and actually I've heard, as far as that goes, it was what works really well is the stuff that is designed as far as automotive wise. You can use the spray or even the stuff designed for I guess like the plastic fender type stuff. Because nowadays fenders and bumpers and stuff like that are made of that flexible stuff, the plastic parts. My understanding that is probably the recommended. I don't know. I have not used it. I use the U-40 Perma Gloss. They are not paid. They do not pay me to say that. That's just been my experience. And I've tried. There's some other ones that are out there, and that's just who I've always kind of gone with. It's just been kind of, I haven't done any sort of comparisons or anything like that. It has just been when I came across them and they started working, it was just kind of one of those, maybe there is a better one out there. I do not know. So if anybody else has some recommendations, that is, please throw them on up. Or maybe I could do a recommendation. The color we're going with is a this is going to be we're starting out as a this is going to be what I wanted to show you is this is a purple. You see it as it is a chameleon color. And this is also another one of the times which I say, you've heard me in the past say as use the good brushes. I say, but it's actually use the good brushes on doing your epoxy on paint. What I found is when mixing your paint if you're going to be doing any sort of mixing, this is the time. Use a brush to mix your paint. Seems to mix a little bit better, and this way I'm able to thin this out just a little bit. When thinning out my paints, I'm able to work it out a little bit better using the brush. It breaks the paints down a little bit better. It was a tip I got many years ago, and I will keep this here. The other thing is on when you go through and start painting, other than when you go with an airbrush, practice. And if you have kids, it can be a lot of fun to practice on doing different things. Just don't practice on like doing on paper right here, because on this paper, you will see it is purple. On a black blank, it is not going to come out purple. So let me get everything set up, and I will show you what I mean as we get going. So is what I will often do is in the area which is going to be covered by the handle is where I will start. And as you can see here, that is not really going on purple. Or you might see it as going on purple. That is not really all that purple. And as that dries, I will come back to it because I'm going to start working on the other end of the rod first. Because that is given the texture that I like. It is not going to be how it... It's not going to end up coming out that way as it dries. This is going to probably really dissipate on down. So let me get into light, and I'll even do it a little bit more in this area right here. So I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side, and we'll come back to it after I get the rest of the blank done, or when I get down to this section. So 4 and 4 would look different than 5 and look different than 7. So is what I found is I will go through and do 1 coat, see how I like it, 2 coats, 3 coats, 4 coats, 5 coats, and then stop at the coat that I like the best. Also, I found is the first coat, especially with this purple, it just gives it a blue sparkle hint. Third coat gives it a blue hue with a little bit of a purple glint. Coat 5 gives it a little bit of a purple backdrop, but a nice blue coat over it, almost kind of like this right here, because when this completely dries, it's going to be almost a much lighter blue, because you can almost see it drying because it is really warm in here. It's going to be almost a blue with just a little bit of a purple tint. And then 7 will be almost like this section right here. So instead of to keep this video on the short side, I will go ahead and end it here for now. Okay, folks. Day 2 after letting the first several layers of paint set. Once again, this is day 2 and video 2 of adding color and sealing the rod. This is the starting color that we wanted, and I just put up a short on this as well. So, and before I show you the blank and what we got going on today, is I just wanted to also show this to you. And I'll reiterate this again on the full length video. I use PVC, started out with scrap PVC, and I'll do it many times in this. I'm sure this piece of PVC will end up getting reused again. And although this kind of is a neat effect, and I'm probably going to do this with a rod in the future. But this is that color, that purple color, just with a single coat of airbrushed on. This is, like I showed you yesterday, this is how it kind of came on out, very first coat. And that's how I knew to start going more and more and more. But as I start going here, you'll start noticing these are multiple coats as I started going. And you can see how it just slowly goes into that purple. So from there all the way to there, that is all the same color out of that one bottle. So just out of the PVC, black primer, from there all the way to there. So it is a neat effect, but it is kind of it was not what was intended. But that just goes to show you, run plenty of test coats. But I will show you what we have going on today and where we're at. So hold on. Okay, here we are. We've got everything set up and ready to go again. You can see we're kind of at the stage where this is more on the blue side. You can see a little bit of the purple sheen kind of coming up in through here as we kind of look at it. But oops, I'm getting ready to get a full wipe down. But yeah, we're still kind of at that blue stage. And even though it is a purple paint, therefore, I'm going to go, and this way it looks purple. So, which is neat. And this is, as I said, it's this chameleon type paint that I like. And this getting done for this customer. So I'm going to go and get everything all set up and get everything wiped down, and we will get going again. Okay. At this point, we are now all gloved up and got alcohol getting ready to go on and wiped on down from where I touched it with my hands, which I should not have done. And so let's go and get the camera repositioned and we will get going. And I will go ahead and try to do a little bit of narration as we go. So, there we go. So, as I said, right now, I am just, instead of acetone on this, I am just going with straight alcohol, as well as I am just going to go with, it will not be rotating on it. I will just be hitting mainly a lot of the high and low spots that I can see now that this has dried overnight. What I'm looking at now is I made sure I made sure when I mixed the paint, I mixed extra, and when I do that as well, I keep it stored upside down. I found that years ago that when I store it this way, upside down in these smaller bottles, storing it this way, air can leak in. If air leaks in there, it will crust and get nasty on the other side. Storing it upside down, it will, if I do have a little bit of a leak in there, it will seal up when the paint dries, and it'll just make that little dried section. Oh, there we go. Just make that little dried section. But it'll preserve the rest of the paint. And as I said before, I'm just doing my high spots and low spots. It's a little bit blue in some of these areas that I can see with the lighting. I'm just mainly using a lot of the natural lighting. Yeah, like that. And as soon as it's done, I'm done here, then I will put it on to rotate and dry. Make sure we don't get any pooling, which I shouldn't, because that's one of the benefits of using an airbrush. Then after we move on from this, later this afternoon, if I have time, because I've been instructed by the wife that I need to take her fishing, which is I am actually 100% fine with. Am I getting? There we go. There we go. So I'm getting paint on here. I I'm going to go ahead and get the air handler turned on, which will start getting any sort of dust that I have on here out of this whole area. And I'm going to get this paused and get this done, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, so we are finished, and we have found a friend for Jax here. Let's see if this doesn't get a little bit too out of hand. But let me go ahead and show you what we've got. As you can see in the background here, we've got a very purple rod. So let me get you guys a closer look. Okay, once again, you're looking at this very, very, well, wow, through the camera it looks blue, or on my end it looks blue. This way it looks very purple. Interesting, which is exactly, I think, kind of what we're going for. So, sweet. I'm going to go and get the equipment set and done, and get this all equipment set up and cleaned up, and get ready for the UV sealant and some stickers. And that'll probably be it for the night, because we'll let this cure up overnight before we start get the grips set in place, the real seat set in place, and start wrapping the guides. And that will be it on this one. So hang on and we'll get everything cleaned up. Okay, here we are. We can get this thing finished up. The thing moved into position again. Okay, it's been about 2 hours or so. Final coat on up of the rod, and everything is dried up. Now we're going to go with the U-40 Perma Gloss. Now, for those of you who have done some rod work and have used this product before, I'm sure some of you guys are and have been screaming at me because you see it over there sitting on my bench. And you would be correct. You would be 100% correct. You do not store this out in the open. Is what this is. It is the first bottle of this that I had purchased. And it has been used up and is generally, and it's empty except for just a small tad amount. And it's not even really anything in there. So what it is this bottle I use, because I've got a mark on the back here for the amount I use for a single rod, and I use it for mixing. Since I spray the permagloss, I have a eyedropper with put a little bit of acetone, about a 10% mix, and then I go up to the refrigerator and I top it off to this mark, and I use this, and then I bring it on down to my shop here, and I use it for mixing, which is exactly what I'm doing. So you'd be correct. If you use this product, store it in the refrigerator, it'll make it last a lot longer. Probably if you leave it outside, it'll probably last a very long time, and you probably wouldn't have an issue with it. But just some of those things on the safe side, and I've got a beer fridge up in the garage, so it's just easier to store it up there. So I will go ahead and get going on this. I'm going to do a little bit of it, and then I'll stop. So I'm not going to put it on the rotation. I'm just going to do sections of it and then move it by hand, a section of it. So I'm just going to do a part of the rod and then do it, and then turn the air handler on. And as stated before, air handler is a little bit loud, so I just want to make sure no dust or anything like that gets on this. So, and I'll put about half of this into my airbrush to do half the rod and then do the other half. So hang on shortly. Okay, here we go. First thing I'm doing on these is the alignment markers. Just I want to make sure they get a couple coats on there really good. And make sure if you're using an airbrush and you've been using it for something else, always turn down your pressure and your spray just to make sure you don't overspray things. And run a few quick little test runs there. And then we'll go back up here. Yep. There we go. Make sure you just don't flood the whole thing out. So. And stuff is stinky. There we go. That's about half. So let me go ahead and show you what we got. So we got the alignment markers set up on the one side because we'll get wrappings done on the other. We're getting this nice metallic flake purple moving on, and then throwing the air handler done, letting this dry up, and finishing up the other half here. We are going to be about done for the day. That way I can go out and get a little bit of fishing this evening. So I will let you all go. And okay, so as I said, I'm going to finish up. I'm going to throw the air handler on, then finish up. This should dry on up. I'll finish the other half of the rod. Let this set up on the rod dryer for about an hour, hour and a half, because the permagloss does not take all that long to dry. It does really well. It dries up and cures up really quick. And this will be done, and then we will start moving on to the getting the cork grip and fighting butt done, which I have set ready to go into the lathe right there. The dowel set ready to go into the lathe, and the fighting butt to get carved on out, and some special work going on there. And so, yep, stay tuned. Be good to one another. Take friends and family fishing. Take yourself fishing if you need to. And like, subscribe, hit those notification bells, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.